Today, former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James will ask a judge to throw out their criminal indictments. Comey is charged with lying to Congress, and James is charged with mortgage fraud. Both have pleaded not guilty. Now they plan to argue the Trump-installed prosecutor who charged them was appointed illegally. Let's bring in Washington Bureau Managing Editor Catherine Faulders and ABC legal contributor James Sample for more on that. Hi to you both. So, Catherine, what can we expect in court today?
Yeah, Diane, this is gearing up to potentially be quite a consequential hearing for both James Comey and Tish James, who have been indicted, as you note, Comey on allegations that he lied to Congress and Tish James on allegations of mortgage fraud. But the reason why a judge is hearing these at the same time is because both parties, James and Comey's attorneys, have filed a motion to invalidate Lindsay Halligan's appointment, saying that Lindsay Halligan, the U.S. attorney here who Trump appointed, his former defense attorney, was unlawfully appointed by the president. They have both filed similar motions. They're both asking for their cases to be dismissed on those grounds. So a judge from South Carolina will be at this court here in Virginia to hear arguments on that. Now, I say a judge from South Carolina because an outside party was appointed to hear these matters, not the judges who will ultimately oversee their cases. So we'll see what happens. But the reality is both sides have argued that Halligan's appointment is invalid, considering there's lots of factors, but considering that the president only put her there after he made very clear that he wanted Comey and James to be prosecuted, and after the previous U.S. attorney, whom he fired, said there was not sufficient evidence to bring charges. So it could be quite an interesting day in court here in Virginia.
Sure sounds like it. James, the U.S. attorneys can only serve for 120 days on a temporary basis before they need to be confirmed by the Senate. That period had elapsed by the time Lindsay Halligan was installed. So is that argument as straightforward as it sounds?
The argument here, Diane, is pretty straightforward. And one of the interesting things is the law at issue was passed by Congress in 2007. And to give you an idea of just how far removed we are from times that were not exactly nonpartisan, the Senate vote on the law at issue when it passed in 2007 was 94-2. And the reason, and what that Senate law, what that law says, the one that passed 94-2 in the Senate, it says that an interim U.S. attorney can be appointed for 120 days, and after that 120-day period has lapsed, the Senate reasserts its right to a confirmation process, and if there's not a Senate confirmation process, then instead of it going to the executive for the next appointment, it goes to the district court. And so here, where you're talking about successive appointments on an interim basis, the basic idea here is that Congress was concerned with the notion of having an executive, a president, circumvent Senate confirmation as a process by having a series of sort of seriatim, one after the other, 120-day appointments. And so the argument that Letitia James and James Comey are presenting today is not going to be today focused as much on the vindictive prosecution, selective prosecution aspects, as much as it's going to be focused on the idea here that Congress or the district courts should have made the appointment after Eric Siebert was fired.
James, the Justice Department is arguing that even if the judge agrees Halligan's appointment wasn't lawful, the two indictments should still stand because they don't, in their words, hinge on her validly holding that particular office. What do you make of that argument?
That argument has proven successful in 3 other contexts around the country where this similar argument about the unlawful nature of the appointment process has been successful. But in those cases, other attorneys under the auspices of the office also participated in the prosecutions. What's interesting here is if the same scenario, i.e. if Halligan's appointment is ruled to be unlawful, the distinction in this case is that she acted basically alone in obtaining these indictments, and therefore it seems at least possible that the indictments could fall if Halligan is disqualified.
Catherine, what are the next steps in these cases?
Well, as James mentioned, this hearing today won't be focused on the arguments that Comey or James were selectively and vindictively prosecuted by Trump's Department of Justice. But we will be out here again next week, where there is a hearing scheduled in the Comey matter just about that issue. So there will be a number of hearings coming up in both cases, along with who knows, potential rulings by the judges. We'll have to see if this judge today indicates any path forward after these arguments.
Catherine Falders, James Sample, thank you.